A Russian drone attack has damaged an energy facility in the Kharkiv region of Ukraine overnight. Several houses were also seriously damaged, but no injuries reported. Ukraine's Air Force says Russia's fired 7 missiles of various types towards Ukraine overnight, as well as 130 strike and decoy drones. The strikes were the latest in Russia's sustained campaign on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, which of course is a problem as winter approaches. And as the war in Ukraine edges closer to its fourth year, thousands of civilians are still trapped in the middle of the conflict, facing another winter with limited supplies and, of course, constant danger. Kiwi charity ReliefAid is on the ground delivering help directly to those families. Its founder, Mike Seawright, is in the Ukraine's frontline regions this week, and he joins me now. Good morning to you. I can't believe we're here, still talking about this, almost entering the fourth year. I imagine that the need is still there. Are people still delivering the aid that you need to help those people?
Nadine, life in Ukraine is very tough at the moment. We are seeing a systematic and deliberate attacks against civilian infrastructure, such as the energy system. If we look at life in cities like Kiev, they're hearing of 3 things. They're hearing generators, they're hearing air alerts all night as mass drones come across their cities, and they're hearing the attacks themselves. So life is very tough, and what we're seeing is, with public interest waning in Ukraine, less and less humanitarian assistance is reaching the country, is reaching families that desperately need it.
The Ukrainians have been so stoic to date, but given we're, 1,000 odd days into this, how are they feeling at the moment? The situation you've described just sounds incessant.
I talked to our team and I talked to my friends here in Ukraine. I think the best way I could describe it is that they are in pain, but they remain strong. Yet the future is very bleak for them. There's no ceasefire, no peace on the horizon. They're continuing to lose friends, families, and homes, and they don't know what the future lies. When they look at the possibility of peace, they're also worried about the costs that Ukraine and its population, its families, will have to pay to achieve that peace. The situation is very difficult for them.
So in that context, what is on your agenda while you're there? Where are you visiting and what are you delivering?
I'm in Kiev as of tonight, and early tomorrow morning I'm going to Kharkiv, the place that you've just reported on just before. These are dangerous frontline cities, and our operations, our aid operations, are supporting villages around these areas. These are houses and families that have been damaged by attacks, where they want to stay in their homes over winter, but they need support sealing up their homes, making them warm and dry. No one wants to leave their homes, especially if you've lived there for 50 or 60 years. And so we're making sure that families continue to live where they choose to live.
How much of a threat is the cold? Winter is coming, and as you said, some houses from the pictures are open to the elements.
I've spent a considerable amount of time here in Ukraine in general, but I've been here for every winter. Life during winter is difficult at the best of times. You remove electricity, you remove heating systems and lighting, and it gets even more difficult. In my own context, my team brings me a camping stove so that if the electricity goes off, I can still boil the water and make a cup of tea. I'm still able to fry up an egg if we need that. Just the very basics of life are difficult, and I'm lucky enough to go home back to New Zealand at the end of my trip. If you're a family here in Ukraine, they don't get any respite at all.
So what is your message to New Zealanders? I presume you still really need them to dig deep.
Well, what we've seen is huge support at the beginning of the war in Ukraine. New Zealanders digging deep and working hard to support not just our work, but humanitarian assistance in general. But that interest, both in New Zealand and globally, has waned. What we need is Kiwis to remember that families here in Ukraine are still suffering daily attacks by drones, by bombs, by missiles. They're still in need of our help. and they still have no future without support from the likes of New Zealanders. So if you can, it doesn't have to be with the likes of ReliefAid, but dig deep and find someone you would like to support that continues to help here in Ukraine.